Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another The Sports video. Today, we're back with another Thursday night football preview. It is happening tonight. We generally like to get these videos out before the day of the game, but nevertheless, we have it coming to you guys today. Appreciate the support. We're posting almost every day now. We posted Matt Stafford film analysis yesterday. Obviously, our weekly predictions are every week. So make sure you guys do subscribe because we post so much NFL content, weekly predictions every week in which you guys can play with us in the comments down below. I'm currently 5-11. So I'm hoping to get this Giants game right. I am supporting the Giants. I'm a Giants fan. I've been a New York fan since I've been supporting or been following the NFL, obviously. But today I'll be doing a more of a hopefully not biased preview. I believe in our weekly predictions, I did have Washington winning this game. And that may change throughout this video. I will be breaking down each team. I'll be going through rosters and kind of just breaking down what each team needs to do, what the matchups will look like, and everything as such. But as I said, Thursday night football, Washington against the New York Giants. Let's not forget the Washington are or the Giants are at Washington. So yeah, I mean, it'll be a very, very good game, divisional matchup, obviously. So there's implications there, like who can get the first win. A lot of people are predicting this matchup to be split down the or to be each team get a win. And this one again at Washington at FedEx Field. And it's going to be a fantastic matchup. I think it'll be a really good game. Obviously, I have the day off school, so I'll be able to watch it, be able to take it in throughout the day. But yeah, I'll be giving the preview. So I think what goes just quickly as while I'm here before we kind of look at some of the roster, I think what's going to go into this game is going to be a big defensive versus offensive matchup in both on both sides of the ball or for both teams. Excuse me. For the Giants going against Washington defense, we know how good that defense is. Both teams 0-1. Again, that's a big story. Each team wants to get their first win of the season. I would say Washington had a less concerning loss to a good Chargers team, to a Chargers team we're expecting to be very good. And the Giants had a loss that all four members on the channel, I'm not the only one, had Giants winning, and they got kind of blown out by the Broncos at home while the score may have looked. So they basically only scored a touchdown in actual time. Obviously, Daniel Jones got that rushing at the end, but didn't matter much. And they got shut down by a Broncos defense that's quite comparable to this Washington team. I would say Washington arguably have a better front seven. And I would say the Broncos probably the best secondary in the league, but Washington still have a fantastic one. For the Giants, it's all about Daniel Jones. I think a lot of people were overreacting. I don't think it was necessarily Daniel Jones' fault for that loss against the Broncos in week one. I think it was just defensive schemes. I really don't like the coaching. I think, again, it's another thing where once we get a new coach, we'll finally be even better, which is unfortunate. But again, it's another matchup where it's who can get the better of each team or who can be more efficient when on offense, because we know now Washington don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's out for several weeks. I'm assuming he'll probably be out for the season just because of that hip injury. And we have Taylor Heinicke, who is a completely serviceable quarterback, someone who we saw compete and almost beat the Buccaneers, who are the best team in the National Football League currently, last year in the playoffs in the wild card. And it's one of those matchups, especially tonight, where it's a lot of people will be looking at, because we know the Cowboys are really good, and this is arguably the right now, as it looks, the second place. Like, which of these teams is going to be the second best? Because by the time that this game's over, we'll know, all right, this is whoever wins the second best team as of now. But again, defensive, offensive matchups. I think now looking at Washington's offense against the Giants defense, it's how efficient can Heinicke be. Look, I love this Giants defense. I think, unfortunately, we didn't see them get to the potential that we wanted them to be in week one. Obviously, I love that secondary with Xavier McKinney and Logan Ryan, kind of Logan Ryan being that more coverage safety, McKinney kind of playing back and as well playing in coverage, and then Julius Pepper being that box-to-box guy who can almost double as a linebacker. And the pass rush was good as well. I think we stopped the run pretty well. I think we were able to get to Teddy Bridgewater, good, but I think we all saw how good Bridgewater really is, or how much he can lead a team. And he's arguably a playoff, a guy who can lead a Broncos team to the playoffs. I love Leonard Williams. I think that defensive line, again, it's all about, because we know Washington. So the Washington run a lot of zone blocking schemes. A lot of, kind of blocking your zone, where we see different, that's the majority of teams. The only team we really see doing man blocking schemes where they go power to power is the Buccaneers, but Washington don't. And I think the Giants are really good at exploiting that, because a lot of stunts with defensive linemen, I think that'll be a big thing. We saw them doing that constantly against the Broncos, where they have an edge, they send the edge inside and send the tackle out. to confuse the line. And I think, again, it's a big game because you're going up against Antonio Gibson, who's a very, very good rusher, someone who we know has proven himself going into year 2, and J.D. McKissick, who's a really good receiving back. And then obviously they have Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, who I actually don't think is playing. I'm not sure. I know he didn't play. Maybe I'm wrong. He didn't play week 1. So McLaurin's the only big problem. And I think Bradbury, we saw, at least from what we saw last year, was able to kind of lock up. I believe 1 week McLaurin got the better of him, but Bradbury was able to guard him pretty well. So again, the defensive, I know that seems so general, but especially in this game, that defensive offensive matchup on both sides, and more emphasis on the weaker offense is how they're going to go up against 2 good defenses. I think this Giants defense is a good defense. Obviously they were exploited, but I think this team can still, hold teams. I think if there's a team that they could do that to, it would be Washington. But if we look here at more of the depth charts, looking at the Giants first. So I think a big reason here is this Kenny Golladay, Darius Slayton, obviously as a receiver. I'm not sure where the other ones are. Obviously, you still have Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard. They might be down here. But I think what a big kind of thing for them will be, can Kenny Golladay utilize his size against smaller Washington cornerbacks? Because if we can get him and Evan Ingram, first of all, Evan Ingram lined up against linebackers, what I'm trying to get to is I think we need to utilize matchups that are in our favor. And I am seeming like I'm a Giants page now where I'm just going towards Giants. I'll be getting to Washington, what they need to do as well. But utilizing Kenny Golladay, who we didn't see that much, kind of getting better throws than him. I know Daniel Jones, he has the ability to do that. I think if he can sit in that pocket, if he can have more of that presence there, know when he's going to get sacked, step up, navigate through it well, he has the receivers who will get open. We saw Sterling Shepard play very well. Obviously, Darius Slayton had the most receiving yards in the team last year. So it's a good team. And then obviously the offensive line, it's just consistently a problem. Nate Solder is not a good tackle. I don't like him as our starting guy, obviously coming back after opting out. He unfortunately just wasn't good. We saw him against Von Miller. He gets beaten. Von Miller, I believe, had 2 sacks. And then we saw Matt Pert, who's his backup, who just, was poor. So it's more of the matchups is going to be a big deal. And I think that if the Giants are going to lose this game, is going more to Washington. If we look at Washington, it's all about that front 7 and Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen, obviously, I'm not sure where they are here. Depth chart's different here. Let me go to depth chart. If we go here to the depth chart, their offensive line, I would say they're quite comparable. None of them are fantastic. Obviously, they have Brandon Scherf, Sam Cosmi, the rookie. But then you look at that defensive line. I mean, Chase Young, obviously on the edge, is just the most scary edge rusher to go against. He's going to be, I believe he plays on the right side, so he'll be lining up against the second-year player as well. And Andrew Thomas, which I would say I'm probably more confident with him going against than Nate Solder. But again, it's another one of the things where Andrew Thomas could get embarrassed, and we wouldn't want that to happen. And then they as well have Jonathan Allen, who's fantastic. Montez Sweat, who's just able to get the ball away, and Darren Payne. That front 4 is very good. They have Shaq Toney in the back, James Smith-Williams. Then obviously the back linebacker, David Mayo, who used to actually be a Giant, Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis, John Bostic is really good. And then that secondary, we saw William Jackson show out. Obviously Kendall Fuller, Troy Apke, Cameron Curl, Landon Collins. I think what we're going to utilize, what we're going to have to, as a Giants team, or let's go to Washington. Washington secondary, all this about is what's the help going to be like? Because that corner, you have 3 good receivers for the Giants. You're assuming majority of the time that Galladay's matching up against Fuller, and Sterling Shepard, I would say, is lining up against Jackson, but Sterling Shepard kind of lines up in the slot. So maybe he's going up against St. Justy, who I as well like, or maybe Darryl Roberts. And then you have obviously Darius Slayton, who I'm assuming will go up against William Jackson as more of that outside guy, that boundary guy, and we'll have William Jackson being that kind of apex corner. So again, I think in terms of matchup wise, I would give this probably in favor of the Giants on offense, but then it's Washington on defense. Giants on offense. In terms of offense against offense, but it would have to be Washington on defense. I mean, if you look at that defensive line going up against the Giants offensive line, it's not convincing. As I said, you obviously have Will Hernandez, who's been very good, but then he kind of goes into this season and falls off. And you look at all these players, Shane Lemieux, who I really like, Andrew Thomas, who could have been Tristan Wirfs, which I consistently talk about. And then Saquon Barkley, our running back, who people are starting to bench in fantasy. Never thought I would say that. But again, unfortunately, I just don't think he's fully healthy. Wasn't getting a lot of carries. We have Devontae Booker, who had that fantastic one-handed catch. So we have, and I believe Gary Brightwell, who was a rookie. And then look, so here are the other receivers. Excuse me. So I believe Kadarius Toney again. Like, we have 4 good or at least receivers who can make a difference. I would love to see Kadarius Toney, obviously motioning him outside, giving him the ball, running the ball with him. And then I guess it all lands on what I hate saying is you say all these good things about the Giants and then it's Daniel Jones. And I don't want to be the casual fan who just blames Daniel Jones for all the problems. While he is a very big, very large amount of those problems, he's not all of it. So it's still up in the air. I think in terms of where this Giants team is looking to go, this needs to be a game that they need to win. I think if we start off 1-1, if we beat Washington in Washington, it would just be so good for this division. I think we can solidify ourselves as arguably the second best team. We saw this Eagles team that was really good. I mean, the coaching and the play calling that they had against the Falcons is something that can cause problems as the division. So really, it's not as open as we thought it was. Like, all 4 of these teams have the potential. I mean, who knows? This Eagles team, theoretically, if they continue to play, they could be second in the division. And I guess we'll still have to see. I say the Cowboys are the favorite, but I'd say that it's the race for second place here. Excuse me if I'm talking very fast, but that was it for the preview. I'm going to stick Washington. I know I'm a Giants fan, but this isn't a Giants page, so I don't have this obligation to go Giants. I'm going to go Washington. I think this is such a close matchup. And obviously I want the Giants to win. So let's go G-Men. But we'll see. I hope you guys enjoy that video. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on social media. All of the links are in the description down below if you want to check us out. This is Kean McDermott, Esports Scoop. Charlie Idell as well, our other host of Giants fans. So we'll be getting a ton of Giants content now. We have as well as a Jets fan and Dolphins fan. So if you guys are fans of those teams, we do get a little bit more of those teams out than others. But we still do every single NFL team. Now, for the is my Thursday night football breakdown, analysis, and predictions. Those will be coming to you every day or every Thursday night. We'll be essentially previewing more in depth every single game that we think is important each week. So expect 2 to 3 per week, maybe more, and then some game recaps as well. And as well, some film analysis, Kean's Film Room, which I do. It's all here. Without further ado, Kean McDermott, Esports Scoop. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.